How do, folks? Back out again. I'm on the local scene today. I've only got a little window and the weather's quite nice, and it's quite late now. It's heading on for tea time. And I'm walking, parked the car at the White House, Blackstone Edge, and I'm walking on a section of a path, an old track called Toad Lane that I mentioned in a video earlier in the year on a day walk I did. So I'm going to cross this, follow a bit of that route from the winter, and then I cut off over pathless moor down towards Cragvale. I'm going to cross Turving Road, and I'm going to head up an hill and hopefully camp on this hill, which I think is quite mysterious. Mysterious hill, and I'm going to tell you a bit more about it later. This has been my first wild camp since the beginning of April, May, 3 months. And if you're looking for a jolly upbeat film to watch, then this one's not going to be for you. I want to tell you some right tales of woe I've had over the past few months. Just niggling health conditions and other shite that stopped me from getting out. Now, above my finger, that hill there is the mysterious hill in question, and that's where, hopefully, I'll be camping. But for now, I've got to follow this track by White Home Res. I've just took a slight detour to this little collection of millstone grip boulders, outcrops, whatever, to film some of the carvings on the rocks that I mentioned in the winter time. Again, quite modern, done in the, I think I said down, done in the past. Wait a minute, one down here, 1995. Bit older than I thought. Oh no, it's not 95, it says GS. Yeah, probably about 20, 25-year-old. And in the distance, there is the hill. This area of the moor here, if you're into beetles, you like a good beetle. And who don't like a good beetle? It's a good area, moor, for two really nice species in particular. One of them's much commoner than the other. And that's the green tiger beetle. I thought I might have seen some of them today, but none as yet. They're really nice. But the best of the lot, and one I've only seen once up here in umpteen visits, and it has, as far as I know, it doesn't have an English name. The Latin name is Carabus nitens, and it's just this lovely, jewelled almost beetle. It's like it's been put together by Carl Fabergé. Fabulous thing. These metallics, greens, bronzes, really nice thing. I'm gonna have a little sit down up here. There's another little outcrop of rocks. The wind's coming from southwest, I think, so I should get a bit of shelter up here. I'm gonna have a bite to eat, and then I'll tell you the next part of the journey. So these are the rocks. I'm gonna have a little sit down, but from now I've got to leave the path and head over this trackless moor towards that little clump of trees there, and there's a path that'll take me across Turving Clough. So across the valley there, pretty unremarkable looking hill, that's the one, and it's called Great Man's Head Hill. That's interesting up here. The sun's got a halo. There's that very high, thin, milky cloud. Anyway, it's giving the sun a halo. Yeah, I've just pointed out Great Man's Head Hill again, and I should mention the name because for years we called it Manshed. Mansor Hill and Mansor End, and it's spelled M-A-N-S-H-E-A-D. But I think with that sort of spelling, and it's spelled like that on old maps, it's got to be Man's Head. Got a soft spot for this tree here. It's a lovely rowan. Always clock it when I'm passing. I'm just walking up this lane now, and it's called Washford Lad. Proper name is Washford Lad, but I remember reading a book by the dialect writer from Rochdale, Edwin Waugh, and he called it Washford Lane. So if he says it's Washford, then it's Washford. Look at all these linnets in the field. Love to see linnets. So common when I was a lad. Don't see them so often now. Which leads me into what I want to talk about. This pasture either side of this lane, it's fantastic. It's what I call Mor Ed Pasture, another name for it's in by, and it's the land that were taken off the moor sort of hundreds of years ago, I suppose, and it's been looked after and it's managed as a hay meadow, and even now it's not been mown. There's buttercups, yellow rattle, interesting grasses. Yeah, I love this habitat. Just had my thread interrupted there with old farmer stopped for a chat about something. I'll tell you about that in a minute. Yeah, we're talking about the Mor Ed Pasture hereabouts and what an important habitat it is. I remember talking to a fellow who worked for National Trust at Hardcastle Crags, and he reckoned this Mor Ed Pasture has been in use, managed this way since the Neolithic. Now I don't know about that, but it's a bloody good story, and that's why it's so precious. And I suppose you see it on an even more biodiverse scale in the Yorkshire Dales, even more interesting species in the hay meadows up there, Swaledale and stuff. Yeah, this old farmer, it must have been in his 80s, and one of these little all-terrain vehicles, he stopped me and went, "Do you want a cat?" Well, I'm not sure what he's on about. Anyway, he said, "Some evil bastards, aren't there? Someone's dumped a cat there. Just come up here and dumped it." Anyway, I don't want a cat. But just as he was about to set off, a gust of wind caught me out, and it blew it into his vehicle. He was sat on it, and I said, "Oh, you're driving off with my hat." I don't think he understood what I was on about, and he nearly set off with it. Anyway, I managed to get it back. Oh, the bloody barn owl. Oh, the barn owl whisperer. Right, well, I'm on my way up Great Mansor Hill now. Over my shoulder there, you're looking towards Cragvale, Mytham, Royd, Ebden Bridge, etc. It's about, what time are we on? 6:30. I don't think sun sets till about 9 o'clock or something, so I've plenty of time. Just noticed one or two sort of more edge farms around here that I just need to be mindful of when I'm putting tent. Right, so right. So what's been going on in my world? Why do I feel like I'm on the back foot with wild camping at the moment? Well, I suppose it probably began about March time. I needed to have a medical procedure, an investigative procedure. So that rang over me for a bit. Anyway, I had that. And everything come back normal. A couple of minor niggly elements to it, which means I need it all sorted, but means that I need looking at again in a few years. Then that were that. And then after that, next thing, I started having bloody tooth trouble, really bad, right at the front of my mouth as well, you could see it. I got an ulcer underneath one of my front lower teeth, and it wouldn't go. And I'd heard that before, that if you have an ulcer for any sort of length of time, you should go to the dentist. Anyway, I did. I left it about a month, and it was getting sorer and sorer. And I went to the dentist. And, oh, I'll put this bloody thing on. Went to the dentist, and they said, we don't like the look of the tooth, and we don't like the look of the ulcer. We're going to make you an hospital referral. You're going to have a biopsy on the ulcer. A biopsy is not a word you want to hear, is it? And we're going to remove the tooth. We think they're connected. Anyway, I had that done. And they had to obviously remove the ulcer in the tooth, so I needed stitches at the front of my mouth. Anyway, a couple of days after I had it done, my mouth was in absolute agony. Weren't sleeping or anything. And that was Friday night. I had a terrible night. So I got up early Saturday morning, went to A&E, and all the stitches had got infected. What a mess, real mess. But they were good at the hospital. They gave me 2 lots of antibiotics. Amoxicillin and metronidazole or something, and they also gave me some heavy duty prescription painkillers, cocodamol. Anyway, them 3 combined, they really did the trick. The mouth healed okay and stuff. Then bugger me, two days after I finished antibiotics, I was a lot better. I was suddenly struck like a sledgehammer really quick, no warning, with this terrible like chest infection and congestion in my head. Looking back now, I'm convinced I had COVID. I went, Kathy went to Asda trying to get a COVID test and didn't have any, so I'm not sure, but I had a really bad chest. I couldn't breathe, I had a temperature, lost my taste, really bad sinuses, which I've still got now. Pain behind my cheekbones here, behind my eyes. Horrible, horrible. And that was a few weeks ago, and I'm still feeling the hangover of that, really. I'm still not 100%. As you can see, I'm still coughing. And I'm still very, very breathless. My lung capacity is not what it should be. But today's walk was a bit of a test to see how I've got on, really. And I'm knackered now, but yeah, I've done okay, all things considered. But going back to the tooth thing, because the tooth's at the front of my mouth, I've had to have a denture. Now I don't know what to do. This is my 3rd day, and it's doing me head in. It's not painful, it's just weird. Maybe I'm not giving it enough time, and with still suffering, my head's not right. Maybe once I'm fully clear and decongested in my head, maybe I'll get used to it, but at the moment I think I'm going to have to bite the bullet and shell out for an implant. I've been Googling them yesterday, and the bloody dear, I think minimum I found £2 for one tooth implant, sort of screwed into the bone of your jaw. £2, Jesus. I'm just looking south here to Peak District, Dark Peak. There, above my hand, is Black Hill. A little pointy one there is West Nab. And you can't see Bleaklow, but just above my hand there, I'm pretty sure that's like the Derwent Edges. And there above my hand is the prominent landmark Studley Pike. Right, folks, so why do I think Great Mansor Hill and Mansor End, where I pitched a tent, is such a special hill? And I mentioned the name, the Mansor, and I think it's something to do with that. And I brought this book with me. Hang on, can you see that in focus? It's about this area, sort of the valley down here, Crag Vale. I've read it, I bought this book in the 1990s. I'm pretty sure there's not a great deal about Mansor End in it, certainly not with regards to the name. But what is mentioned in it is, once upon a time, this was a haunt of Mesolithic hunter-gatherers. Flints have been found up here. It mentions them in this book, and I've found flints as well. Nothing fancy, no tools, just bits of debitage, i.e. waste material produced in the manufacturing of tools. So the $64,000 question is, what is the man's head? What is the man's head referring to? And I've never come across anything explaining that. It's just sort of tantalisingly out of reach. I've noticed though, the Trig Point is on like a mound. And I don't know, maybe I'm being overly fanciful, but this sort of mound reminds me of the remains of something from the Bronze Age. I've seen similar things marked as tumuli on maps. I'm thinking of the one on Southside Pike in the Lake District above Haweswater. It's a little bit more vague, this one, but I don't know, I've got a gut feeling about something Bronze Age up here. It's now marked on map, but again, the Bronze Age people have been up here. There's Bronze Age, metalworking bronze, flint tools from the Bronze Age, what are they called, like funeral urns with ashes in and stuff. They've been excavated on various hilltops around here. There was one on Pure Hill to the south. So maybe the man's head is something to do with that. Maybe it's a name that goes way, way back. Whether something was found here, archaeological. And another thing that I'm wondering about, in the valley around here in Calderdale, there's a bit of a culture on some of the older properties of stone heads mounted into the properties, sort of architectural features, basic ones, nothing fancy, not overly artistic, so they're not that decorative, but there's a bit of a culture about it on 17th and 18th century properties around here. And another thing, again, I'm just wondering, just maybe the stones used to make them, maybe they were quarried up here, or maybe one was found up here, a stone man's head, I don't know, but there's something about this hill that fascinates me. It really does. It's an hill that I absolutely love. Been coming up here a long time, since we were lads, me and Lee, and there's something about it. There's never many people up here. There's a permissive footpath across it, but you don't see many folk. Yeah, you know this mound I'm talking about that the Trig Point's built on? Just looking here, big stone bits that are eroding out of this mound. This one here next to the Trig Point almost looks dressed, that one. Stones. I mean, they could be just sort of a mound put up to put the trig on, but I don't think so. It's too big. It's got an edge to it here. the lights are starting to appear now in the valleys of Calderdale to the east. I know you get insects and stuff, but spring and summer camping, there's a breeze tonight. It's a cool night actually. Got my gloves on. But this is why I love sort of late spring summer camping. It's quite oh God. Excuse me. It's 9:45. Weird clouds up there. And I can just be out. Imagine in depths of winter, I'd be like stuck in tent from about 4 o'clock. Not knocking winter, it brings a different perspective, doesn't it? But I know what I prefer. Beer time now. Yesterday I received some sad news. A good pal of mine who I've known since I was a lad really died. And when I say a good pal of mine, what it were, me dad and Ozzy, the bloke who's died, and Bob and this bloke called Dougie. They all worked at an engineering firm in Rochdale for years. Long gone now, closed, knocked down, everything. And for whatever reason, this engineering firm in Rochdale, it seemed to breed bird watchers. Like I said, there were Dougie, me dad, Bob, Ozzy, and I don't know whether they were all separately interested in the gravity, but their interest developed and they became a bit of a birding team, hardcore birding team. And I used to go occasionally as a little lad, but obviously I didn't have that level of interest that they had when I was young. But as I got older, I joined the team. And it got to a stage where every fortnight we'd do a big birding day out. When I was young, I didn't do much of the driving, but we'd take turns to drive. Although I must admit, it was usually my dad and Ozzy who did the driving. They were like driving machines. They could kind of drive for hours and it just wouldn't affect them. So every Sunday we do a big birding trip, sometimes 300-mile round trip. Further afield sometimes. I remember a couple of really big ones I did. We once did a midnight set off to Inverness for an ivory gull. When we got there, bleeding gone. Another one I drove a big, and I remember Ashdown Forest in Sussex. We were looking for a short-toed snake eagle. Anyway, we got that. That were a good bird. But yeah, as time passed, Dougie were eldest member at team. He died first. And then there were me dad, Ozzy, Bob, and Kevin joined, and it carried on. Anyway, in 2020, my dad died, so then that just left me, Bob, Ozzy, and Kevin, and we'd still go out quite regular. Sort of, maybe not quite as much, but Ozzy with a driving force. It'd come to us weekend when we were due a day out, and it were like, right lads, where are we going? There's a such and such in Lincolnshire, and there's a red-breasted flycatcher at Spurn on East Coast, and he'd plan an itinerary, Ozzy. I say it's sad. I can't think of Ozzy without smiling, because he was the funniest, daftest, most un-PC, sweariest bloke I've ever known. But he used to crack me up, the stuff he come out with, and this, they'll always stay with me. I find myself saying some of the things that he used to come out with. Nothing like me on them levels, but he did make me laugh. He was such a character. It's I'm going to miss him really. He was just a top, funny, one-off sort of bloke. He was a really good bloke.
Well, it's just midnight, and I think I'm going to try and get some kip. I might not go to bed immediately. I might read for quarter near me Cragvale book. It might help me nod off a bit. I hope I get a good night's kip. I've not been sleeping well lately, with coughing, spluttering all through the night and that. Right, but any road, that'll do for tonight, and I'll speak to you in the morning. Good night. So that's the morning view. I feel a bit rough this morning. I didn't sleep well at all. Probably went to bed a little bit too late as well. I was coughing in the night and I felt very sniffy, which I still do now. So I'm going to make a brew, grab something to eat, and I'm going to tackle down quite quick. I haven't got that far back to White House. I think from here, maybe about 3 miles or something. So yeah, I'm going to get on my way. But at least it's not raining. I'm sure at forecast I looked at yesterday said it might rain this morning. So maybe that's on its way.
Just approaching this ruin at Colin Hill. If you look just to the right of it, there's a big white patch of cotton grass. Definitely been a cotton grass summer, this one. Quite an interesting looking thing, isn't it? I like rummaging about ruins. Right folks, I think I'm going to sack it off there. Have a short walk back to Turbin Road, and from there I've got about half a mile back to White House and car. Yeah, I enjoyed that trip. I did have to push myself a bit going out yesterday. Like I say, I've not been well recently and I'm still not 100%. I feel a bit knackered this morning. But I'm glad I come out. It's definitely done me good. It's a lot better than, I know, when you're not feeling well, it's easy to just mope round the house, innit? But yeah, it's a lot better to get out if you can manage it. So the next trip, I don't know when that'll be. Soon, hopefully. I've got summer holidays coming up. I've got a few plans for South Pennines. A few little things in the pipeline. At the back end of May at half term, Whitsuntide, and if the planets had aligned, I was going to do a 3-day, 2-night walk up there, circular walk. 1 night wild camping and 1 night on a site, but the weather when I was off were pretty crap. And I was having this tooth trouble, so I just very, very demotivated for that. So still got that at the back of my mind though, and if I get a nice little window before summer's done, might try and get up there and do that. I've also got a family holiday coming up. We're going this year. We're going to Madeira. I've got some walks planned on there. Who knows? I might make a video of a walk on Madeira. Anyway, I'm babbling. So, interesting looking plant there. Thanks for watching. Look after yourselves, and I'll see you next time.